very warm welcome to you all. Before we begin, I have a couple of requests. Please, could you kindly take out your mobile phones and either turn them off or put them in aeroplane mode, make this evening a little easier. And also, to avoid blocking others whilst taking photos, please be aware that there will be a DVD and photographs provided to the graduates. So please enjoy this wonderful occasion with the knowledge that someone else is taking the photos and you can enjoy all your memories firsthand. Please remain seated so that everyone can see the procession of our official party, and then the graduating class of 2017 will process to the delightful tunes of Pomp and Circumstance played by our graduation orchestra under the direction of Mr. Tim Graham. moment in your lives. Please be seated. Thank you to our orchestra, under the direction of Mr. Graham, who provided us with a truly fitting start to this momentous occasion. Mr. Watts, our head of school, Deputy Head of School, Mr. Damaran, our guest speaker, Professor Gower, President of RMIT Vietnam, our distinguished guests, Mr. Vickers Sukla, Indian Consulate, Mrs. Sarah Harding, Australian Consulate, Ms. Thuy Anh from the Vietnamese Department of Education and Training, Mr. Kevin Curran, the Secondary Vice Principal, Ms. Janelle Covington, the Diploma Program Coordinator, has continued to provide constant support and nurturing throughout the last 2 years to our graduates. The dedicated teaching faculty and district were always on hand to guide the learning process and help the graduates complete the marathon that is the IB diploma. The ISHCMC support staff, and of course, the parents, family, and friends of our class of 2017, who along with your sons and daughters, make ISHCMC such a warm and positive community. Graduations are one of those moments in life that happen very rarely. For many of you, not more than 2 or 3 times. So any words of wisdom should be ones that are hopefully going to have some meaning. Makes me ponder, what really is meaning in its true sense? You're safe. I'm not going to start getting more philosophical and talking to your case. Although you might need to watch out for Miss Kay and Mr. Clement. TACAVO is one of those acronyms that's filled your world for the last 2 years. Just as has DP, NYP, EE, CAS, IA, and IOC, just to name a few. It is now more common than not to communicate in acronyms. LOL. Communication is hopefully one of those skills that you will reflect upon over the next few years as a critical skill that you develop during your time in an IB school. Those acronyms just keep popping up. Kevin Systrom, who's the CEO and co-founder of Instagram, just like you, he survived the IB, has said that the number one thing he learned through the IB diploma, and he was very grateful for it, was the ability to communicate, whether it be in writing, speaking, listening, or interpreting body language. He credits a significant part of his success to his ability to understand the importance of communication. So much so, he built his business around it. So I'd like to mention 2 further acronyms that are increasingly connected to your future and those of your generation, more commonly referred to as Generation Z. It's been described as a generation as one that has a fear of the future that grows. You value education, it's pretty good. You worry about your future careers, and you really want to make the world a better place. You are completely digitally native in the sense of being quite helpless in the non-digital world. The 2 acronyms that I mentioned a moment ago are VUCA, V-U-C-A, and TGIF. I'll come to TGIF in a minute. However, VUCA is an acronym that is a useful filter for how you make decisions about your life. It stands for a world that is V, volatile, not really steady. Change is a constant. You must embrace positively with its many opportunities. Otherwise, anxiety will consume you. You, uncertain, not secure or guaranteed. Just like the next few months as you head off in exciting new directions. C, complex. Unfortunately, not simple. Full of interrelationships, such as the wonderful diversity of this class and your school community. And A, for ambiguous. Not fair or even congruent at times. There will always be situations that do not have a right and wrong. Your morals and personal compass are critical to navigating a successful course. And yes, you will at times face exciting and exhilarating. It offers you, and as around you, it offers you vast enhancements to technology that keep you connected on a second-by-second basis. Technology seems to be pushing us rather than the other way around. In some ways, we've allowed it to become our master, not our servant. How will you allow technology to impact your lives? To harness its boundless possibilities, however, understand the moral boundaries necessary to maintain a sense of equilibrium. Will you ever drive a car? Or will the car always drive you? Or will you always communicate through whatever device our inventors decide supersedes the humble smartphone? Will you take a moment to disconnect or even consider turning off the constant notifications or reminders that pop up on your phones? So Google was my first acronym to describe the world where our significant partner. So now to the second one, TGIF. No longer does that four-letter acronym stand for Thank Goodness It's Friday, but moreover words that did not exist when your parents graduated and are now part of our everyday vocabulary. T is for text, G for Google, I for Instagram, and you already guessed that F might be for Facebook. Modern day communication relies on acronyms and emojis. Social media is the third choice of communication in our society. It will very soon be complemented by virtual and augmented realities, meaning we can experience our world through more of our senses, even when we are not physically present in a particular setting. In our world, and therefore, communication has become even more volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. The modes of communication even greater. Then, what are 4 important habits that you should consider to overcome these challenges? Firstly, find a mentor, someone who can help you through the volatile times. A trusted person who is solid and can always be relied on. Secondly, continue to develop your resilience and resourcefulness. These skills will help you move beyond the uncertainty. Thirdly, continue to practice mindfulness, to monotask rather than multitask. Your world is too complex to multitask continuously. Take time to focus on the present. Enjoy every moment while it lasts. Finally, keep searching for who you are. Be clear on what you want in life. Develop clarity to overcome the ambiguity all around you. Understanding communication and identifying the meaning in all your communication will be beneficial in all these 4 practices. You've heard it before. It is not your IQ that matters most. It is the EQ. The emotional intelligence will help you to move beyond the volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous world dominated by social media, text, Google, Instagram, Facebook. Promise yourself to find your passion where every morning you wake up, whatever time that might be, and really look forward to your day. Now you can make a difference, even though it might only appear small. If you can't say that, then maybe something is communicated to you to change. Always look to make the most of every single moment. Good luck. Without further ado, I now want to hand over the lecture to a young man who has been elected by his peers to speak on their behalf on this occasion. This young man constantly displays a high level of intellectual curiosity, and through his persistence and dedication, achieves to his potential and beyond. Please welcome to lecture the student's elected speaker, Joshua Joy.
Good evening. My name is Joshua Joy, and I have been at Michigan for almost 12 years. And sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, it is an honor to be speaking on behalf of the ISHCMC class of 2017. As the class of 2017 relationships with each other that transcends our status as mere classmates. Our bonds have evolved into something far more substantial, something greater, a brotherhood. And what differentiates a brotherhood to that of individual classmates is that you can confide in a brother or a sister for help and with trust. Our ISHCMC brotherhood meant that help was right around the corner. We could count on the teachers, counselors, Mr. Rogers, Ms. Codrington, and one another for support and guidance. Even leading up to our final exams, many of us formed study groups to help one another out, not just with academics, but also with words of encouragement to uplift each other's spirits. As a band of brothers and sisters, we faced the emotional, the mental, spiritual, and physical strains together, as anyone on stage can attest to. Traversing the 2 years of the IB program, a notoriously rigorous curriculum of 6 subjects, theory of knowledge, and extended essay, has been a quintessence of our adversity, but it was not all for nothing. As Chinese philosopher and army general Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War, when people fall into adversity, they are then able to strive for victory. In our case, our adversities might have been dodging bullets, missing IA deadlines, falling into traps of temptation of procrastination, and not taking test taking with military precision timing. Our year-long basic training in grade 11 gave us a perspective of the landscape of things to come. Worried about what was to come, we looked to the then veterans of the class of 2016 for guidance. But when we ourselves became the veterans, upon entering grade 12, our class with the IB raged on. Our backpacks got heavier, our survival instincts heightened in order to deal with the onslaught of the incoming fatigue, and also to deal with the exponentially increasing workload. And we refined our armor to keep the oncoming fatigue at bay. And our parents were with us every step along the way, back at the barracks that we call home, nurturing our well-being and our health, cooking and keeping our ration stores to stock food provisions. Our parents nourished and uplifted us when morale was at an all-time low, particularly when it felt like our opponent, the IB, could have defeated us. Yet, when we eventually reached the trenches of exams, we did not lose hope. And today, in this opera house, united in triumphant, we celebrate our collective victory of completing the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program as the ISHCMC class of 2017. And looking around and seeing my fellow comrades on stage about to receive their diplomas, the smiles and the proud expressions, the parents and teachers who have sacrificed so much for us, I feel confident that this is what victory is. This is what victory looks like. This is the stage that we have been dreaming of for so very long now. Today, we celebrate. These are the moments we must savor. The photographs that will be taken today, we will cherish for decades to come. And the times ahead, beyond the comfort of ISHCMC, will be full of excitement and opportunity, but also uncertainty. We're now at a crossroads in our lives, a point where we have the freedom and the independence to find our place within a global community. Isn't it exhilarating? What defines the ISHCMC class of 2017 is that our cohort may be small, but what we lack in size, we make up for in humor, empathy, and an intimate connection with each other. We know everyone in our graduating class has the smallest of details. And now each of us are about to take our own has and are about to take our own steps. Perhaps Kaid might become the next Jean-Paul Sartre. Seoul's artwork might be displayed for millions of dollars at the Louvre. Yeji might find a cure for influenza. Diksha might have a business enterprise in Mumbai. Jogi will perhaps have his dream multi-trillion-dollar gas company in Korea. And Dai obviously will be the reigning champion Olympic weightlifter for Vietnam. The list goes on and on. Each and every one of us here has our own special talents. I wish I could name them all. Our time together has shaped us into discovering who we are. And today, class of 2017, I invite you to believe in yourselves as you embark on the infinite opportunities that lie before you. Together, we have laughed, we have fought, and now we have conquered the IB. Though we are soon to be fighting individually on different continents and on different fronts, let us forever remember the camaraderie of the ISHCMC class of 2017 and the perseverance, tenacity, and humility that has shaped the people we are to become. Congratulations, class of 2017. We've made it.
Those rousing words, I think I'd be quite happy to go with that with the class of 2017. So well done, Josh. Thank you so much. It's now my great pleasure to introduce Jingyu Kang to play a piano solo entitled All of You by John Smith. If you enjoyed our wonderful production comp this year, you would have heard Jingyu's amazing talent, and I'm positive it will be no different tonight. Jingyu. expresses so many emotions, and it's wonderful to hear, so thank you so much for your time and playing for us today on such an important occasion. It's now my great pleasure to introduce our graduation speaker for this evening. Our speaker tonight has been part of the Vietnamese university landscape for over 3 years, pioneering a revolution in university pedagogy and innovative thinking through her role as president of RMIT Vietnam. She is well qualified for this role of developing a new business model for the university experience in this country through her previous experience in numerous roles in business facilities in Australia and her native New Zealand. She has served on the boards of a number of key academic and business groups and consulted for a wide number of leading businesses. She is also a distinguished academic whose publications include author of Business Ethics, A Contemporary Approach, and co-author of Surviving and Thriving in Postgraduate Research and organising an academic conference, Guidelines for Scholarly and Financial Success. Undoubtedly, you will share your wealth of experience in the next few minutes with our young graduates as they look ahead to tackle the challenges of our complex global society. Please welcome Professor Gal McDonald.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank ISHCMC for inviting me here to be your graduation speaker. And to the ISHCMC graduates of 2017, can I first offer my heartfelt congratulations to you all for your high school graduation. To the parents, teachers, and administrators, I would also like to extend my felicitations to you. As an educator and a mother, I can appreciate the time and dedication that has gone into bringing these young people to this point. So congratulations to you all for a job well done. It's interesting to reflect on what characterises this group of high school graduates here today. According to the report from Merrill Edge released last Friday, the majority of this generation say that they are more likely to spend money on travel, dining, and fitness than to save for their financial future. And sorry, Mum and Dad, but according to this report, less than half prioritise getting married, a drop of almost 10 points from previous generations, and even fewer, only a third, aim to have children, a drop of 15 points. So the authors Strauss and Howe ascribe 7 basic traits to this particular cohort. You are special, sheltered, confident, team-orientated, conventional, pressured, and high-achieving. While these might just amount to being stereotypes, what this group does desire, and is shared by your families and the school, is to be happy and successful in the years ahead. Now, as you can tell by the grey hair, I've been around a while, and I have been very fortunate to observe the careers of a large number of very successful people. People that have been successful not just in business, but also public office and community service. When interacting with these people for the past 3 decades, I've been conducting my very own private research project. Now, in this project, I've been trying to distill what it is that makes these people successful, what makes them so special. Initially, I thought that the key to success was to first choose your parents very carefully. However, over time, I have broadened my perceptions for family origins and become intrigued to see what are the common actions, behaviours, or attitudes among successful people. Now, I should provide a caveat here, that success is not just measured in career attainment or leadership roles. You can be tremendously successful, but wildly unhappy and self-medicating in the evenings. What I've been looking at is that broader sense of success, which is personal as well as professional. From the individuals that I've observed, a number of key characteristics have emerged, and because of the time, I'm probably only going to be able to share a few of these, but let's dive in. In no order of importance, here are some of the characteristics that I've seen in successful people. I'm going to start with the most obvious ones so that we can get that out of the way and then dig into some of the more interesting observations. They set goals for themselves. We all know about the importance of goal setting, but what these people tend to do is make the goal more than just a vague desire. How do they do this? Well, usually by writing the goal down, telling others, telling the universe, and constantly generating awareness of the goal, often visually with a goal board, so that they can see it every day and stay enthused. But having a goal or goals is not enough. They need to also make things happen. So they steal time. What I've noticed is that successful people, in addition to being clear on what they want to achieve, they get more done. Some have subscribed to the adage, a job is what you do from 9 to 5, but a career is built after this time. So how do they get more done? Well, they're able to do things because they regularly steal time from other places. Some can only steal 15 minutes a day while commuting or waiting for the dentist, but they nevertheless steal time. If you do this 6 days a week, in a month, you have stolen a full 6 hours, virtually a working day. One woman I know with a young family to raise and a full-time job and a commitment to better herself through education would go to bed shortly after her kids at 8:30 in the evening and then up at 4:30 to study. She stole a full 2 hours out of each day to study for her degree. She also did something that's called parking on the downward slope. That is, that each day you leave the task at the point where you are looking forward to picking it up, or at a point that makes it easier to get back into. That's why they recommend having all your gym clothes ready and beside the bed. They also chew their way through to obtaining a goal. When presented with a goal, let's say completing a large term paper, learning a language, losing a number of kilos, anything that needs achieving, what they do is they say to themselves, well, do they say this? I'll just try and carve out a block of time when I will concentrate fully on that. Or I will allocate some specific time to achieve that task. Those people are called bingers. They are looking for the big chunks of time in their day or calendar to allocate to working on their goal. But guess what? Life, other people, or our own distractions usually get in the way, and those big blocks of time happen only every once in a while or elude us completely, and the weeks pass. Others, those who are successful at getting their projects through to completion, are chewers. Specifically, I've noticed that they tend to take off bite-sized pieces at regular intervals over extended periods of time. Now, this is sometimes called eating the elephant. Now, if somebody presented you with an elephant and said, eat that, you couldn't do it. Apart from being totally grossed out, it would also be just overwhelming. So, if you took a few bites, though, every day over an extended period of time, you can achieve it, if you are persistent. I'd have to say one of the best chewers was a friend of mine. Her name was Mary Wills, and she's since passed on. But Mary was an only child who won a scholarship to Oxford. In later years, she was also responsible for her elderly parents and even older aunt. All of them need constant supervision. Mary had a goal of doing a PhD, and to achieve it, every evening, after a full day's work as a teacher, she would relieve the day carer, cook dinner and clean up. Then she would settle her charges into the living room and seat herself at the kitchen table to write. The only problem was that she couldn't leave them unattended for longer than 3 minutes. So she used an egg timer, and every 3 minutes she would stop what she was doing, get up, and go back and check on them. She would then return to the kitchen table and resume her work. So over many years, what she did was she marked her papers while on the bus coming home, and she wrote her thesis in the evening, entirely in 3-minute intervals, which is just mind-blowing and a true example of stealing time and chewing her way through a big project. I've witnessed a number of people who have set up a business, written books, and undertaken further study because they constantly looked for opportunities to steal time in their day and to just chew. So ask yourself, are you a binger or a chewer? Are you a night owl or a morning person? When are you most productive? And be honest with yourself, when and where can you steal some time? Successful people don't procrastinate, they just get on and do it. Stealing time, even if just a little bit each day, to work on a project has an added bonus. It suffocates procrastination and keeps you on the right path. And procrastination doesn't just occur at the start of a project. The worst part of an elephant to eat, I suspect, is that scrawny little bit at the end of the tail. And what I mean by that, it's usually the last 10% of a project, which is often the hardest, and actually the part where most people slow down, give up, and fail. Why? Well, probably because they're just over it. Successful people motivate themselves. Notice I didn't say they are motivated. Successful people aren't genetically more motivated than you or I. Motivation is, however, something that they do to themselves. And here the research is quite interesting. In a meta-analysis of human conditioning, it was concluded that bad is stronger than good. That is, when we perceive threats or challenges, this actually gets more of our attention and prompts our motivation. So if you're looking to motivate yourself, think about the bad things that might happen if you don't do what you're putting off. Think about the negative consequences, because curiously, we're motivated to avoid negative outcomes rather than positive ones. So bad trumps good for motivating ourselves. These people also reward themselves, while the rest of us hold off and can be a bit parsimonious at recognizing and rewarding ourselves. Successful people feel that achievements need to be acknowledged and celebrated, even if the reward is something as simple as purchasing an app, an evening out, maybe something that just reinforces your accomplishment. And it's better, even still, if it becomes a family tradition. In my family, when I was growing up, we got a donut if we did well on a test or if we achieved something. Now, it sounds simple, but it worked. It wasn't the donut. It was the recognition from my parents, or rather, it was the symbol of the recognition. As I neared the end of my own doctoral program, I really got good at rewarding myself. I treated myself to a glass of champagne when the thesis was completed, when it went into the binder, when it came out of the binder, when it went into the post, when it got delivered to my supervisor. I became an expert at rewarding myself. These people are also persistent. Successful people aren't insulated from failure and the emotions that follow. Lady Gaga was dropped by her record label, Island Def Jam, only 3 months after she was only 3 months with them. Upon receiving the news, she said, "I cried so hard I couldn't talk." And as we know, her career didn't end there. According to Forbes magazine, she's now worth $59 million. What successful people do is try again. Take Steven Spielberg. His cinematic output has grossed more than $9 billion and brought him 3 Academy Awards, but he was actually rejected twice by the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts. Rejection can feel genuinely devastating, but what is required, as hard as it may be, is the ability to put it behind you and move on, and to do that possibly more than once. After being dropped not once, but by 3 labels during 2001 to 2004, you'd think that Katy Perry, the singer, would have given up. She didn't. She continued to pursue her career working odd jobs and doing backup vocals until she was signed by the newly formed Capitol Music Group in 2006, where she had her first hit single, I Kissed a Girl. Now, I know that here at ISHCMC you've been working on this. This is often called resilience, the ability to face failures, misunderstandings, and disappointments, and to still continue working towards positive outcomes. The features of people that exhibit resilience are their ability not to crawl under the blanket, but to cast off criticism and negative images and to remain optimistic. Ask J.K. Rowling. Her manuscript for the book Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was rejected in 1995 by 12 publishers. Finally, the editor of Bloomsbury Publishing Company sat down to read the manuscript, and so did the editor's 8-year-old daughter. The little girl loved the opening chapters and begged to be read the whole thing. As a consequence, Rowling's novel was picked up and published in 1997, and she received an advance of £1,500. Interesting though, only 1,000 copies were produced, 500 of which were distributed to libraries, so she wasn't an overnight success. Even the legendary Dr. Seuss, the children's author known around the world for the classics The Cat in the Hat and Green Eggs and Ham, didn't have it easy. While his books have sold 600 million copies, his first book was rejected by 27 publishers. Resilience refers to individuals' capacity to withstand stresses, push on, and to even possibly see a positive dimension. The Japanese poet Masahide Haruki's two-line poem depicts this beautifully. It reads, "The barn's burnt down. Now I can see the moon." It appears that successful people have developed a process of adapting well in the face of adversity. And it doesn't mean that these people don't experience difficulties. Successful people, however, appear to experience these events and yet cultivate resilience. A woman I met a few years ago had experienced the death of a child. However, amazingly, she had gone on to become Australia's Telstra Woman of the Year. She had the ability to move beyond the hurt. She said that she wanted the experience to inform her, but not form her. She did this by keeping things in perspective, looking forward, being hopeful, and slowly healing herself. I should mention that resilience is not a personal attribute that occurs naturally in all people. However, they are skills that can be consciously learned and practiced. As the saying goes, successful people feel the fear and do it anyway. And I've noticed that successful individuals also constantly push themselves in areas that don't come easily. Dealing with negative circumstances, public speaking, networking, negotiating, or having difficult conversations, to mention just some of the tricky areas. They take a deep breath and they engage. As the bumper sticker says, life begins when your comfort zone ends. Now, I'm going to have to wind this speech up, so let me just finish with a few more characteristics that I've observed. Successful people keep on learning. It's very scary to think that 80% of occupations that today's newborns will enter have yet to be invented, and that the average shelf life of a technical degree is less than 5 years. There's a need to keep up to date and to keep on learning if we're going to be marketable and also for our own well-being. Stephen Covey, in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, uses the analogy of a woodcutter who was sawing for several days straight and was becoming less and less productive. The process of continually sawing, cutting, and then sawing again dulls the blade. The solution, however, is to periodically sharpen the saw. Note, here's the distinction. He talks about sharpening the saw, not putting it down. Putting the saw down is to take a break or even a vacation, but as many of us know, when we come back to the task, we're only momentarily refreshed. To be even more productive and engaged, we need to actually sharpen the saw, and that involves being exposed to or learning something new. Boredom, burnout, and loss of personal productivity are largely the result of not sharpening the saw. So enroll in a short course, an online course, keep up to date with current events, engage in new technology. These are all dimensions of sharpening the saw. These people also, who are successful, valiantly try to live by their values. They don't always succeed, but they try. You've no doubt at some time in your life eaten Cadbury's chocolate. Well, Sir Adrian Cadbury is a prominent figure in the UK and a proponent of corporate governance, and he tells a great story about his grandfather, who was very much against Britain's involvement in the Anglo-Boer War. In 1900, Queen Victoria approached his grandfather as she wanted to send a decorative tin with a bar of chocolate inside to all of her soldiers who were serving in the war in South Africa. At the time, the order presented an ethical dilemma to Sir Adrian's grandfather, who owned and ran the second largest chocolate company in Britain. While he was anxious for the work and the revenue, he was deeply and publicly opposed to the war, so his values were in conflict. How did he resolve that ethical dilemma? Well, he accepted the order but carried it out at cost and made no profit from what he saw was an unjust war. In doing so, his employees benefited from the additional work, the soldiers received the royal present, and Sir Adrian continues to receive the commemorative tins today. Interestingly, so opposed was Sir Adrian's grandfather to the South African War that he acquired and financed the only British newspaper that opposed it. So to some, you might think that his actions are a bit of a compromise. But what it does demonstrate was his ability to think outside the box, to resolve a dilemma, and to try valiantly to adhere to his values. And the last characteristic that I'd like to finish with is one of my favorites. Successful people look after and nurture themselves. All of the successful people I've met looked after themselves both physically and mentally, and were not reluctant to get help when needed. Physically, they did not abuse their bodies and know the importance of good nutrition and sleep. These people do not appear to obsess about their bodies, although they do look after themselves. Successful people tend to come in all shapes and sizes and ages, and what's unique about them is that they seem to be very comfortable in their own skin. They seem to accept with ease who they are and what they look like. I love the saying, personally, that inside me lives a skinny woman trying to get out, but I can usually shut her up with cookies. Instead of lamenting that inside every older person is a younger person wondering what the hell happened, successful people appear to be comfortable whatever stage they are in life. And to protect themselves mentally, they don't chastise themselves. They avoid self-criticism. They're not tough on themselves. They don't berate themselves. They don't say, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that, I should have known better, or I should have done this earlier, or done it even better than I did last time. It's intriguing that we would not take that sort of rhetoric from a stranger, or speak like that to a friend, and yet we're quite happy to belittle ourselves. Verbal put-downs are a very subtle way of eroding our self-esteem, but it's surprising the frequency with which we do it. Successful people don't berate themselves, they do the opposite. They nurture and encourage themselves. They don't let others' opinions, good or bad, shape their opinion of themselves. They treat that sort of feedback as they would any other feedback, looking for the nuggets of insight, but deciding for themselves what to believe. As one leader I know said, what other people think of me is none of my business. What I think of me is more important. And these people who are successful tend to interact positively with others. When they deliver criticism, they talk about the work, not the person. They talk more about ideas than they do about people, and they're meticulous in their engagement with social media, what they put up, how they comment, because they know that what they say can last out there forever. So to finish, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I know that I'm between you and your high school diplomas and reuniting with your families. So I hope these comments have been useful. I conclude by once again congratulating you, class of 2017, on this special occasion, and wish each and every one of you all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor McDonald, for those words of wisdom around successful people, and I hope we can all be successful in our own little ways, and the key to that is a lot about happiness. As a token of our appreciation from the graduates, can I please ask you to accept this small gift from Kyle O'Dore, who is one of our class of 2017 and an SRC executive. And now we have our second musical performance, which will be Go Light Your World by Chris Wright, performed by a graduation choir and string ensemble under the direction of Miss Candice Taubner and Miss Jamie Cohen. Please welcome them to the stage.
Somebody burning
singing with the choir in that beautiful duet in sense. So well done, and thank you very much to everybody. I'd now like to call upon our Diploma Coordinator, Ms. Janelle Codrington, to come forward and announce and present the John Elwood Award that recognises excellence in the core of the IB Diploma, that is CAS, TOK and the Extended Essay. Ms. Codrington.
The John Elwood Award was created in honour of his memory. He was an outstanding teacher and internationalist who was killed in the Bali bombings in 2002. His dedication and passion to community service and to his students at ISHCMC will forever be remembered. The John Elwood Award is presented to a student who has made a notable contribution to the community and who has been innovative in their ideas and their vision. This year, the committee found it impossible to distinguish between two of the candidates, and therefore this evening, two students will be recipients of this award. Firstly, we would like to congratulate Wanotchapon Borovan Harasan. As I like to call her Lucy, Lucy has demonstrated an outstanding commitment to the culture of service during her time at ISHCMC. She has led by example, and her leadership skills have been exemplary. Lucy had a lead role in the organisation of a school formal, and on the sporting field, she's been part of Marissa basketball and volleyball for the last 4 years. She's assisted with the coaching of younger teams, particularly the under-14 team this year. As a service leader, she has held a prominent role in the student teaching student group. In TOK, she's developed and demonstrated clear and critical thinking with a willingness to explore different perspectives. And through her extended essay, Lucy has pushed her levels of critical scientific understanding through the research process. Please join with me to congratulate Lucy as a very worthy recipient of the John Elwood Award. Part 2 of this. Our second recipient of this award is Naomi Keogh. Naomi has been an enthusiastic and dedicated student leader at ISHCMC, and one who is very well deserving of the John Elwood Award. Naomi has played a key role in the Student Representative Council this year and has been pivotal alongside the SRC team to developing a strong spirit within our community. She's willingly taken on extra responsibilities, even when she's been at her busiest with her studies. Naomi is really the go-to person to get things done. She's had a key role in the 10-foot orphanage service group, which has been consistently strong throughout this year and previous years. She's represented the school in Marissa basketball. In TOK, she's developed strong global perspectives, and her inspiring extended essay saw her develop great empathy for the rights of girls and young women and the empowerment of education. Please join with me to congratulate Naomi as a very deserving recipient. On a personal note, I just wanted to acknowledge all of our 2017 class. They have contributed a great deal to our community, and I just wanted to thank you for allowing me to stand beside you in the trenches over the last 2 years.
the true embodiment of what it means to be an ISHCMC student. And now it is my pleasure to welcome to the lectern the valedictorian for the class of 2017, a young lady who has excelled in her academic studies and always looks to enhance her understanding of key concepts and ideas. Her consistency across the last 2 years has been truly outstanding. Please come forward to address this graduation, ISHCMC.
Good evening, esteemed parents, teachers, guests, and of course my fellow students. For those who may not know me, my name is ISHCMC, and it is an honor to give a speech at the graduation ceremony as the valedictorian of class of 2017. Before beginning, I'd like to firstly express our wholehearted thanks to all the teachers and staff at ISHCMC who have helped and supported us so much throughout the IB programs for the last 2 years. My fellow students, our high school years, especially 2 years of DP life, seem to have passed in a flurry of exams, work, and activities. It is quite hard to believe that it's already time to leave, and today, we all stand here to celebrate our graduation. For me, it seems like only yesterday that we chose our DP subject and stepped into 2 years of DP life. Although IB final exams were over a week ago, I still can't believe that we've completed all the extended essays, TOK essays and presentations, IAs, and CAS. We've also shared many good memories. Together, we have been to the formers, we have been on field trip and class trips. Together, we also slept in the common room. And now, we are ready to graduate. We wouldn't be here if there were no support from our parents, teachers, and of course, friends. Thank you for everything you have done for us. We began high school as children, but we are living here as adults. Today, we all open the door and go forth into the real world, facing new horizons and challenges. Some of us may go back to the home country. Some may move slightly further away, and yet others may live in a totally different continent. However, the most important thing is that wherever we are no longer sheltered by our honored parents, teachers, and staff. We have to be responsible for our own behaviors, choices, and lives. We are not young children who can hide behind our parents and solely rely on them. Come to think of it, till now, we have lived in affluence. While we were at ISHCMC, we have been guaranteed equal opportunities and have grown up without huge difficulties, thanks to the efforts and supports of our parents, teachers, and staff. However, is the real world that we are stepping into fair to everyone? Definitely not. The real world can be unfair. Even at this moment in time, where we enjoy the sense of freedom, some children are working at the sweatshops to earn money. Some are giving up their studies due to financial problems. The real world that we step into now is not always just. We will face injustice, and we might experience unfair treatment and failure while striving to reach for our dreams. At some point in the future, Because we live in such a complex and challenging world, we might feel frustrated, lethargic, and confused. We might lose self-esteem and motivation. We might ask ourselves, what am I doing right now in this complex and insecure world? Is this the right path for me? When that time comes, let's try to do something that ensures our world is a fair and protected environment for other people, just like what we've enjoyed at ISHCMC. Let's try our best to give hope and support to other people and make the world fairer. Today, we stand before the first page of a new chapter in our lives. Our new chapter is truly in our hands. So let's do our best to positively influence other people by using the values we've learned throughout our high school life. Let's be compassionate and open-minded. Let's be caring and brave. Let's make a difference in the world as we begin this new chapter. Congratulations, my fellow class of 2017. I wish you courage, friendship, and kindness as you step towards these new challenges in your lives. Wherever we go and whatever we do, don't forget that once we went to ISHCMC and we were strong, caring, and united. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your thoughtful words, and we do look forward to welcoming you and each of the class of 2017 back to ISHCMC in the future. You are part of our alumni and part of our traditions. Congratulations also for being the valedictorian of the class of 2017. Now we move to the distribution of the graduation diplomas. Please be aware we'll have a musical interlude between the awarding of the diplomas. I would now like to invite the head of school, Mr. Adrian Watts, to the stage to award the diplomas. Teachers who have performed the role of advisor and mentors of these young men and women will come up and read the names of the students in their advisory groups. Firstly, we have Mrs. Bonnie Coles to read out the graduates' names from 12A.
Please rise. Wenatchapon Morgan Tyson. Young Fun Tweed Train. Jindu Khan. Min Jae Kim. Sumin Kim. Kwan Yu Lee. Alessandro Maria Repesta. Alex, 1. Hyun-Min Yi. So, A, please be seated. I would now like to call up Mr. Ray, advisor for 12B.
Will B please rise? Joshua Dan Choi. Jorge Gonzalez Renero. Diksha Gupta. Junho Jang. Seiwoo Chen. Lucas Orlando Malabro. Naomi Benita McGill. Kyung-Bin Moon. Wing Young Queen Man. Fan Queen Yahoo. Janelle Marquette Cruz Reeves. Reina Tominano. Trinity Bachman. Will B please see?
Thank you, Mr. Watts, Mr. Billy, and Ms. Coles. Now we have a short musical interlude played by our jazz band. I Feel Good by James Brown, directed by Mr. Tim Graham.
I feel good. I know that I would now. I feel good. I know that I would now. So good, so good. I got a new. I feel nice, like sugar spice. I feel nice. Like sugar spice. So nice, so nice.
I know how you can't feel pretty good after that. So thank you so much to the jazz band. We've certainly come a long way at ISHCMC in a short time, and it's fantastic to hear those wonderful tunes and dulcet tones. And I suspect our class of 2017 is feeling pretty good so far. Half of you actually have those diplomas in your hands. At some point, certainly in the last few weeks, you thought maybe they weren't going to happen, but now they have. And now we get the opportunity to present to the other half. And to those of you joining us tonight for the graduation dinner, I hope that music has got you in the mood for a good evening. I'd now like to invite Mr. Adrian Watts back to the stage to conclude the handing out of the diplomas, and Miss Stephanie Kilminster to read the names of the graduates from 12C.
C, please rise. Sarim Choi. Ha Mandwi. Jatijit Jitjang. Q. Mena. Q. Banner. Yaji Kim. Jubin Lee. William Hugh Wynn. Sunjin Park. Yovin Song. Kai Yu. C, please be seated. I'd like to ask Mr. Mike Clemens for advisor for 12B.
Please stand. Do-hyun Kim. Tien Pham. Lei Tu Sang. Ling Lei. Sarah Jeanette Lewis. Loon Juk Gan. Nguyen Ngọc Trần Wang. Andrea Pereira. Nicholas Alexander Lucia. Thomas Angus Stewart Leeson. Seo Yoon. Please be seated.
Graduating class of 2017. Distinguished guest speaker, Professor Gail MacDonald, parents, invited guests, and of course fellow educators. It is my pleasure to make the closing remarks to this wonderful graduation. Firstly, there are a few thanks that must be said. Thank you to our speakers, both fellow educators and graduands, for sharing your experiences and words of wisdom as related to the graduating class. Thank you to our musicians, Mr. Graham, Ms. Tubner, and Ms. Jamie, for the musical entertainment we have all enjoyed this evening. Thank you to Mr. Tang and all your facilities workers and technicians for working behind the scenes to ensure that this ceremony ran so smoothly. Thank you to all the secretarial staff and communications team who have contributed to the organisation and the beautiful presentation of this ceremony. Thank you to the Parent Graduation Committee that has worked with the secondary administration to ensure that after this ceremony the celebrations will continue not so long into the night. And thank you to all the teachers and administrators who have taught and guided and supported and encouraged and tolerated and at times coerced the class of 2017 so that they could reach this point in their education. Thanks to all of you for contributing to such a memorable evening. Who are we? It's a good question, and one that we have asked ourselves as a community this year. This inquiry question has relevance to all of us gathered here this evening. Whatever role we play, we are all part of making ISHCMC the school and community that it is. So, who are we? Well, we are certainly a school that takes pride in providing an education in which every student is encouraged to achieve to their optimal ability. Last year's IB diploma results demonstrated this again. The class of 2016 set a new ISHCMC highest average diploma score of 34 points. This is an even greater achievement when one realises that over 50% of the class obtained bilingual diplomas as well. I would not be surprised if this year's graduating class did not match or better this score. Their average trial scores certainly surprised many of their teachers and was above the average of the previous 3 years. So there's a good chance that might happen, yes? Oh, good. We are a school that continues to modernise its pedagogy and align with the learning styles of our students, the fast-changing world of employment, and the skills demanded by employers. We are proud of what and how our students learn. We share learning through exhibitions, websites, workshops, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, coffee mornings, and just about everywhere we can. We are a school that is prepared to invest in its learning environments. Last year, when I stood here at the graduation, our new secondary campus was merely a few holes in the ground that had been dug a few days earlier. This new building is now well underway and nearing completion. We have also refurbished sections of the primary school in grades 4 and 5 and will be expanding that in the very near future too. This will give ISHCMC 2 buildings that will allow us to push the frontiers of students' learning to where they need to be for the 21st century. When they are completed, the environment and provision for student learning at ISHCMC will be among the best, not only in Asia, but I think worldwide. We are one community. This year our community has worked tirelessly together to produce outstanding events, breaking attendance records for Family Fun Night, Celebration of Cultures, International Festival, and the recent Stingrays Invitational. We are a school that cherishes its community and is always looking to make it stronger by getting to know each other, learning about our cultural similarities and differences, and being willing to share who we are with each other. We are a balanced school. It is interesting to watch how the rest of the world of education is now recognising the importance of mindfulness for students in order for them to focus and centre their thinking, to take control over their minds, to seek peace and silence in their hectic world of technology and social media. We have continued to expand our positive education programme. We try to empower our students and our parents to take control of their lives through mindful practice. And with staff, we have explored positive emotions in faculty meetings. On the sports fields and in the swimming pool, our reputation continues to grow, with outstanding performances throughout the year in CSAC and Marissa events, from under-11s right through to our senior teams. Other schools across the region now see ISHCMC as very serious competition wherever we compete. And throughout the year we have had the pleasure of being thoroughly entertained, as tonight, by the arts, with musical showcases, art exhibitions, drama productions, impromptu recitals, and lots of other mini-productions. ISHCMC has been, or is, a hive of creative activity. It has been another wonderful year at ISHCMC. All of us have grown to understand a little more about who we are as individuals, as a school, and as a community. As we have done this, I believe our pride in belonging to ISHCMC has grown. Tonight you have heard from the graduates just how much pride there is in graduating from ISHCMC and being the class of 2017, correct? There we are again, you see. So we are a learning community that is on the path from good to great. I would now like to turn my attention to the graduating class of 2017. Unfortunately, I'll try, but it will probably be a bit literal because it's very hard to move the podium around to actually be able to face you properly. However, we have already heard a little about who you are as a class from Mr. Rogers and the student representative speakers. Excellent speeches, by the way, which did give us a feel of your passion as a grade level. One of the common themes that has been referred to in several speeches was the desire to make a difference. This is no surprise, as this is common characteristic of Generation Z, who desire, in an age of uncertainty and fluctuation, to go out into the world and make a difference. I am sure you realise this will not be as easy as it sounds. Nevertheless, I believe that as a class, you have already started on your journey. For years, I have used the IB Diploma Art Exhibition as a litmus test for how mature a graduating class is and what is driving their thinking and conversations. I have to admit that when I arrived at this year's exhibition, I had no special expectations. However, I left thoroughly impressed, not just with the quality of the art, but with the subject matter and the articulation of your thinking. In my mind, this was the first IB Diploma exhibition where teenage angst had been relegated to a distant place. Your thinking was different. Instead of focusing on self, what inspired you was family, friends, politics, social issues, cultural change and generational differences. You were thinking deeply about important issues that are shaping who you are and who you are becoming. Talking to you was thoroughly engaging and gave me confidence that you are ready to leave school and home and go forth and forge your place in a wider world. Now, the wider world will challenge you, but it is your world. It is waiting for you, and it needs you to make a difference. You are part of Generation Z, and this is your time to take what you have learned at high school, the skills and the knowledge, and test them in the wider world. You are fully aware that this is a fast-changing world with an exponential growth in technology every year. Nobody needs to tell you this because you are part of this technological change. Technology for you should be an opportunity, not a threat. But what lies ahead one cannot predict. But you can rest assured that at some point you will be needed to make a difference, small or large, and this will test who you are. As Timothy Snyder, Professor of History at Yale University, says in his new book on tyranny, it is easy to follow along. It can feel strange to do or say something different. But without that unease, there is no freedom. Remember Rosa Parks. The moment you set an example, the spell of status quo is broken, and others will follow. Hence, as history tells us, to make a difference it is likely that you will need to be prepared to be different. To say no, this is not right, while others remain silent. To change what has become acceptable to others. To stand alone while others hide in a crowd. To be original and create while others replicate. To make your voice heard while others give theirs away. To stand up for your beliefs while others excuse theirs. To take action while others remain passive. To question in search of truth while others just accept what they hear. To care while others only think of self. Given our world today, you may well be called upon to make a difference. I trust you will be prepared. Time will tell though, and I hope that what you have learned from your ISHCMC education and experiences will empower you to recognise what is right and will help you to decide the actions you must take in order to make a difference to our world. My best wishes for your future. So, now it is time to set you on that pathway. I would like to ask the class of 2017 to be upstanding as we move towards the end of this ceremony. So, to signify your graduation from ISHCMC, I now ask you to move your tassel from the right to the left. It is my pleasure to give you the class of 2017.
If you love somebody, better tell them why they keep. They might just run away from you. Then let them know what went well. Better yet, it just depends on how long time is left for you. I climb the highest mountains, I climb the deepest rivers. You can have it all, but not moving. Take it in, but don't look down. get up now.